Everything just changed, and Bugatti might not be ready for what's coming. A new wave of EU right-to-repair laws is about to hit the automotive world, and it could force Bugatti to rethink everything about how it controls repairs. At the center of the storm are two stories you can't ignore: Matt Armstrong's Chiron Pure Sport rebuild and Mark McCann's frustrating battle to fix his Veyron. Together, they're exposing cracks in a system that's been locked down for years, and now that system is under serious threat. Bugatti drew a hard line when Matt Armstrong took on FXG's crashed Chiron, refusing to offer support and insisting independent rebuilds simply couldn't be trusted. At the same time, Mark McCann has spent weeks chasing something as basic as a gearbox replacement quote for his Veyron, with no answer, no clarity, and no help from the manufacturer. This isn't just bad customer service anymore. It's exactly the kind of control these new EU laws are designed to break. So if you're into high-stakes car drama, hit like, share, and subscribe, because what's happening here could reshape the future of hypercar ownership. And here's where things get even more serious. Bugatti's grip on parts, repairs, and information could be slipping. The monopoly they've held for years is now being challenged, and the consequences could be massive. Let's break down what really happened with Matt Armstrong and Mark McCann, and why Bugatti's own strategy might be turning into its biggest problem. When Matt Armstrong agreed to rebuild FXG's crashed Chiron, he stepped straight into a wall of restrictions. Bugatti said no from the start. They refused to supply a single part for the rebuild. Even CEO Marty Ramotz went public, warning that jobs like this should never be done in a normal garage. According to him, only a handful of places on Earth have the tools, and only a few experts have the skill to even attempt it. Bugatti pushed the idea further. They claimed the car couldn't even be taken apart outside two highly controlled facilities in the world. In their view, this rebuild wasn't just difficult, it was basically impossible. But Matt didn't back down. Instead of waiting for approval, he created his own path. If Bugatti wouldn't supply it, he would build it. Piece by piece, the impossible started coming together. Bob the welder stepped in and rebuilt the gearbox mounting bracket, making it even stronger than before. Skilled specialists brought all four damaged radiators back to life. The front aluminum structure? It was scanned in 3D and rebuilt with precision using CNC machines, matching the original down to the smallest detail. Then came the exhaust. Valvetronic designed a completely custom system from scratch. No factory support, no shortcuts, just pure engineering. In the biggest moment, Matt split the entire car apart in a regular Miami garage with normal tools. That single move shattered Bugatti's claim that only their facilities could handle it. Suddenly, it didn't look like a technical limitation anymore. It looked like control. Then came the test. One turn of the key, and the Chiron came alive. No hesitation, no struggle. The gearbox shifted smoothly. The engine sounded raw, clean, and powerful. It sounds good. And it really did. The custom exhaust worked perfectly. Every system Matt rebuilt performed exactly the way it should. What Bugatti said couldn't be done was now running right in front of millions of people. But the real story goes deeper than that. Matt didn't win with Bugatti's help. He proved he didn't need it. Every solution came from independent thinking. Every fix came from outside the system that shut him out. While Bugatti stood firm on what couldn't be done, Matt showed the world what could be. And while that battle was unfolding with the Chiron, another story was quietly beginning. Bugatti Veyron owner Mark McCann stepped into the spotlight with a different kind of gamble, buying the cheapest one in the world for $900,000 and walking straight into a whole new problem. This one had been left in pieces for more than 3 years, a Bugatti Veyron Mansouri Linea Vincero with a completely failed gearbox. Nothing worked. Reverse was dead. Drive wouldn't engage. The entire transmission was useless. And the worst part, no one could even look inside to find the problem because Bugatti builds these gearboxes as sealed units, never meant to be opened, never meant to be fixed. So the only option left was obvious: replace the gearbox. The price? Around $200,000. At first, it sounds straightforward. Call Bugatti, ask for a quote, and move ahead. Simple. Except it wasn't. Weeks went by, and Mark still couldn't get a price. He reached out to Bugatti London. No answer. Straight to voicemail. He tried again. Eventually, someone from the parts department picked up and said they'd check availability and get back to him within a couple of days. That call? It led nowhere. Days turned into weeks and still nothing came back. To put that in perspective, Mark contacted BMW for a gearbox quote on a BMW M3 F80. The full price came through in under 2 minutes. 2 minutes versus over a month of silence. Eventually, when Mark finally managed to speak with a Bugatti representative, the message was blunt and non-negotiable. The gearbox is sealed. It cannot be opened. It cannot be repaired. It must be replaced. So even if the real issue is something small, something as simple as a $500 bearing, Bugatti won't touch it. No inspection, no attempt to fix it. Just one option: replace the entire unit. Forget fixing it piece by piece. This isn't that kind of job. The only option on the table is a full gearbox replacement, and the price starts around $200,000, climbing close to $300,000 depending on the model. What makes it even harder to accept is the massive gap between versions. Some gearbox options cost nearly $100,000 more than others, which led Mark to ask the obvious: how can one variation possibly justify that kind of jump? Instead of a clear breakdown, the answer stayed vague. He was simply told that certain Veyrons need the more expensive unit. No real detail, no transparency. Then came another roadblock. Because the car had already been taken apart by someone else, Bugatti wouldn't stand behind anything unless they took over the entire process themselves. And that's when the pattern really starts to show. First, they refuse to support independent repairs. Then, they use that same independent work as the reason to step in and take full control. Now, this is where things start to shift, and not in Bugatti's favor. New regulations are coming that could turn this whole approach upside down. The EU's right to repair laws, set to roll out in July 2026, will force manufacturers to give car owners and independent workshops access to parts, tools, and repair data for years after production ends. That means that the old playbook won't work anymore. Blocking gearbox sales to independent garages won't be allowed. Using sealed components as an excuse to avoid repairs won't hold up. Even delaying simple things like pricing information while customers wait, that's going to be a problem under the new rules. In fact, these laws go straight after the exact tactics we're seeing here: limiting access to parts to protect in-house service, questioning outside mechanics without proof, locking away diagnostic tools, and funneling customers into official dealer networks. Those strategies are being called out directly. And once these rules kick in, all of it crosses the line. What makes this even more interesting is how real-world examples are already proving the point. Matt Armstrong's Chiron rebuild shows that skilled independent garages can handle these machines just fine. On the flip side, Mark McCann's situation highlights what happens when a manufacturer controls every step and leaves the owner with no real options. Put those two stories together and you start to see why these laws are happening now. The bigger picture is clear. Once these regulations take effect, Bugatti won't just need to adjust, they'll have to completely rethink how they deal with repairs moving forward. Everything is about to shift. Soon, manufacturers won't be allowed to keep repairs locked behind their own doors. They'll be required to sell parts to qualified independent repairers, not just their official dealers. Access to special tools, diagnostic systems, and detailed repair data will no longer be restricted. Even years after a car stops production, all of that support must still be available. For Bugatti, this isn't a small tweak. It shakes the core of how they operate. Right now, owners like Mark are stuck. His Veyron is basically useless without a working gearbox, and there's only one place to get it. That means Bugatti decides everything: the cost, the timeline, and how the entire repair unfolds. But that level of control is about to slip. We've already seen what's possible. Matt Armstrong's Chiron rebuild shows that skilled independent garages can handle these machines just fine. On the flip side, Mark McCann's situation highlights what happens when access is blocked. Now, new regulations are stepping in to redraw the boundaries, and they're targeting exactly this kind of limitation. By July 2026, the rules change completely. Bugatti will have no choice but to supply parts to independent specialists. They'll need to share tools, release technical information, and support repairs for vehicles customers already own. The gatekeeping starts to crumble, and the grip on parts and servicing begins to loosen. A system built on exclusivity suddenly faces real pressure. And this is where it gets interesting. Because what happens next won't just affect Bugatti, it could reshape the entire high-end automotive world. Will they evolve and embrace the change, or resist until they're forced to adapt? Either way, the outcome will reveal just how strong their current model really is, and whether it can survive in a world that's no longer closed off.